Hey guys, I just want to share with you out of this experience that I just had earlier today. I had what you would call an epic fail, okay? Situation did not go as planned. Things did not pan out the way I had envisioned them, in the way I planned for them, in the way that I thought them up in my head. It was just a disaster, so to speak. But I learned a very valuable lesson. In fact, I learned several lessons out of it. I won't go too deep into some of the other lessons. Those are things that I just need to implement from a business perspective. But I wanted to share this lesson, this life lesson that I think is applicable and may help a lot of you out there. And that is this concept of when there is an epic fail, when you fail at something, and it's usually involving someone else, right? Normally, when you fail at something, you're at an event or you're a part of a team or you're a part of a project. Whatever it is, it normally involves other people. And so there's this thing called expectation. So you're expecting things to pan out a certain way, to go a certain way. You're expecting other people to do some things. And when they don't pan out, when it doesn't go your way, it's very easy to point the finger. It's very easy to blame the other person. They didn't show up right. They didn't do right. They didn't hold to the agreement. You know, there's a lot that goes on within your heart, and a lot of it is blaming the other person. Now, this isn't just a message on, don't blame other people. It's more of a message of when things don't go your way, when everything falls apart, it is extremely beneficial to consider you were at fault. And this is what I mean by that. If you plan this thing, this event, let's just say you plan this thing, other people don't show up the way they should, things don't go the way that they should, and your response to it is, they should have done this, they should have done that, they didn't do this, it didn't go this way, then you're left with the idea, I did everything right. I don't need to do anything different. I don't need to change anything. I don't need to grow. I don't need to adjust. Hey, I did my part. Look at what they didn't do. This could even happen within a relationship, right? It's what they didn't do. And what I learned today, right in the midst of being in this what they didn't do mindset and this what they didn't do funk, I had this epiphany, call it a wake-up call, call it a coming to Jesus moment. Really what I think it is some of the things that I learned last year in this coaching certification program that I finished. We were talking through and processing through just the concept of owning it and the benefit, the value of always looking at it through the lens of, well, what if it was on me? What if the issue is with me? Then how can I extract lessons and how can I improve, right? Through the concept of it was on me. Even though clearly the other person didn't do their job or they didn't do what they were supposed to do. The idea is, even though I can totally blame other people and say what they didn't do because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. They didn't. But only acknowledging what they didn't do only gets you so far. But it doesn't improve you. It doesn't elevate you. It doesn't help you. And so in this moment today, I'm blaming, pointing the finger, and it comes back to heart. What if I turned it around? What if I said, so on me, Travell, what didn't you do? Travell, where didn't you show up? What mistakes did you make? In a situation, and this is what's important, I'm questioning myself in a situation that is clearly the other person's fault. Like it's clear that they didn't do this or they didn't do that, but I'm going to still own it. I'm going to still man up, and I'm going to still test this theory. Let me figure out, let me look at me, and let me own that thing didn't go the way I wanted it to go, expected it to go, the way it should have went, because of something I did. And the minute I did that, the moment I did that, I saw several things that I can implement going forward. Standards that I can establish. Rules, so to speak. Things that I can do to prevent not only this, but improve my overall product, my delivery, my intake process, just the way I go about my business in general. I started to ask myself some questions, right? And I won't share everything because it may get out there, but just in my own mind, I began to ask myself a set of questions like, well, if this would have happened for this person, or if this would have been, if this would have happened in this situation, would it have gone differently? And it was like, yeah, they probably wouldn't have done that if it had been that person, or it probably wouldn't have happened if they were dealing with that person. And when I considered that person that they could have dealt with in the same context, in the same situation, I said to myself, they wouldn't have showed up that way. They wouldn't have done those things. They wouldn't have fell short in these areas if they were dealing with that person. So it made me look at that person and say, now, what is it about that person? See, what qualities does that person have? How is that person rocking and rolling and moving in this space that they would demand a certain level of excellence? They would demand a certain level of respect. They would demand a certain level of excellence in how people show up and how people relate to them, how they communicate to them, how they, just how they do business, right? So I don't know, if you're dealing with something like this or not, or, maybe you'll deal with it in the future. Maybe you've dealt with it in the past and you're still frustrated about it. But there is much benefit. There is great benefit, I should say. There is great benefit in always processing when things go south, when things go wrong, when things get all messed up. Even if it's clear, even if you know in your heart of hearts, they didn't do X, Y, and Z. Understand that finger pointing and only looking at what they didn't do has only so much benefit. It can only get you so far. But it does not contribute to your growth, your development, your maturity, and you leveling up, you 10xing, you becoming a culture changer, you becoming a greater leader and a greater visionary and a greater leader, right? A greater man, right? It doesn't contribute much to your personal improvement. If you want to improve in an area, if you want to continuously grow, continuously evolve, continuously level up, continuously improve in a given area or expertise, always own it. Always entertain that failed because of me. You own the failure and you learn from the failure. And here's what's awesome about it. As I'm sure you've heard, failure is not a person, it's an event. I forgot the famous motivational speaker that coined that phrase. Might have been Jim Rohn, might have been Brian Tracy, might have been another, great, speaker and, communicator. Might have been another speaker, but they said, listen, failure, it's not a person, it's an event. If it's an event, then that means it's an experience, which means you can learn from it, extract from your experience. Own the failure, extract from it the lessons that you can now implement into your business, into your organization, into your church, into your family, into your relationship. It's applicable across the board. It's amazing. It's amazing what shows up when you own it. And you say, you know what? Yep, I could blame, but I choose to look at myself. I choose to say, how did I contribute? And that's the key. How did I contribute to this failure? How did I contribute to this falling apart? How did I contribute to, get this, to them not showing up as the best version of themselves? Like, that's heavy. Like, that's a place like we really don't want to go, right? Because many of us say, yo, man, it's on you. You do you. What I do don't affect you. What I do shouldn't have anything to do with you. Actually, but it does. It does. Because if I was a certain kind of person, if I was running my business a certain way, if I was at a certain level, then people would show up differently for me. People would interact with me differently. They would respond to me differently. They would behave differently around me. See, that's next level thinking. And that keeps me on a growth trajectory, right? That's that growth mindset. That's that next level mindset that keeps the wheels, the cogs turning. And that keeps me evolving and elevating and growing and developing. So I can do nothing but get better because I choose to continue to own it. Now, this hasn't happened in quite some time. So this was the first time in a long time that I had such an epic fail. But I'm glad that it did. I'm glad. I'm grateful for this failure. I'm really grateful for it. It's like, man, that was just what I needed. I'm so happy. I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful that they showed up the way they did. I'm so grateful that it went all bad. I'm so grateful that it fell all through the cracks. I'm so grateful that it was just an utter mess. I'm so grateful that I screwed that up, because now I can reflect, right? And I can see, oh, okay, I got it. Change this, tweak this, up this, improve this, boom, on to the next one. So I hope and pray that made sense. I hope and pray that it added value. I hope and pray that it helps you, man, to continue to grow and to develop and get to that next level. Love y'all, praying for y'all, believing in y'all. Travell C.W. Lynch, Mr. What? I am the possible. Catch y'all on the next episode of the podcast. Until then, peace.